What if the tiniest particles in the universe are whispering the name of Allah? What if every photon, every electron, every quantum wave is part of a grand cosmic symphony, a message of divine unity? One young Muslim physicist saw something incredible, a faint signal in quantum experiments that hints at the one who observes all. Science and faith don't have to fight. They can reveal the same truth. Stay with me for 1 minute and discover how quantum physics may be pointing directly to Allah's signs. If your heart felt that spark, subscribe now, share this story, and join us on this journey into the signs of creation. Quantum Whispers: How Physics Hints at Divine Unity, a Muslim scientist's discovery. In the dim glow of his little lab in Istanbul, Sammy's heart trembled. He was a young physicist, restless and haunted by one question. Could the whisper of the Quran and the whisper of electrons and photons be speaking the same truth? All his life, he had been torn between two worlds: the world of formulas, experiments, mathematical rigor, and the world of prayer, revelation, surrender. Tonight, the boundary between them seemed to thin. He stared at his computer screen, which displayed the interference pattern of electrons passing through a double slit. The wavy bands, the darkness and brightness, the mysterious interference, as if each electron was dancing with itself, existing in multiple states until someone measured it. The famous double-slit experiment. Sammy's pulse quickened. How can something so small be so full of mystery? He muttered a short verse in his mind. Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. Quran 2400 hours 35. He stretched out his hand, as though seeking guidance beyond a microscope. Over the past years, he had read papers linking quantum mechanics, information theory, and Islamic metaphysics. One such work was The Informational Universe of Allah, an Islamic perspective on quantum information theory by David Leong and Abu Salah, which attempts to reconcile Allah's omniscience with the probabilistic nature of quantum mechanics. Another was The Convergence of Quantum Science and the Islamic concept of divine unity, which speaks of how the challenges quantum physics poses to strict materialism resonate with the Islamic view of souls, non-material reality, and oneness. Sammy's experiment tonight, however, seemed destined to show more than mere physics. He had set up a delicate interference microscope, trying to detect minute disturbances in the vacuum. The so-called vacuum fluctuations, zero-point energy, virtual particles popping in and out of existence. He wanted to see if subtle signals, perhaps unseen, might carry information that hints at a deeper unity underlying all things. As he watched the screen, he noticed a faint pattern, something anomalous, almost imperceptible, that changed if he simply observed the screen more closely. The effect was small, but to his trained eye, it was real. When he shuttered the observation, letting the system evolve unobserved, the pattern drifted. When he focused his measurement, the pattern shifted. It was a quantum observer effect, magnified. He whispered, "Bismillah." His fingers gently adjusted a slit width by micrometers, and the band shifted. He leaned in, his worldly heart pounding. Is this chance? Or is there a signature of the one who observes all? At that moment, his phone buzzed. A WhatsApp message from his sister, Amina. "Are you coming for ASR? Mother is waiting." He glanced at the clock, moments before prayer. He closed the lab lid, leaving the apparatus in a safe idle state, and rushed home. While walking through the old stone courtyard, the call to prayer echoed through minarets. The voice, the echo, the faith, like an invisible field, enveloped him. Once in the mosque, as he prostrated, tears came to his eyes. He felt tiny, humbled, and yet connected. He remembered a line he had read in a Sufi treatise. When the being dissolves, only the beloved remains, and the beloved is the secret witness of all multiplicity. The doctrine of wahdatalwujud, the unity of being, taught by Ibn Arabi, that existence is one reality and multiplicity is but manifestation. He sensed that the same unity underlying his experiment and the verses of the Quran was being whispered to him. After prayer, he returned to the lab. The night was silent. He sat before the instrument and reopened the measurement. The anomalous pattern was still there, clearer now, if only marginally above noise. He repeated the experiment multiple times, adjusting parameters, shielding external interference. The signal persisted. He tested with varying slit distances, changing photon wavelengths, cooling the system to near absolute zero, isolating electromagnetic noise. In every variant, a faint but consistent modulation remained, a pattern not predicted purely by conventional quantum theory. He paused and scribbled. Residual coherence beyond expectation. He felt a shiver. What if he had glimpsed a signature of divine ordering, a subtle coherence that can't be reduced to randomness, a hint of an informational field, weaving all quanta? Days turned into nights. Sammy's experiments and analyses grew more refined. He consulted theoretical friends, read more deeply in QFT, quantum information theory, and Islamic cosmology. He discovered that in quantum information theory, the notion of information is inherently probabilistic, but yet is built on structure, correlations, entanglement, and conserved quantities. The Leong and Abu Salah paper had argued that Allah could be considered as the infinite information, the source of all information, and that divine omniscience can be reconciled with probabilistic quantum outcomes. To them, probabilistic still means structured. Randomness doesn't imply chaos without underlying law. He also read The Convergence of Quantum Science and the Islamic concept of divine unity, which argues that quantum challenges to materialism align with Islamic views of non-material reality, background awareness, and that consciousness or soul is not material, but interacts with the quantum world. Another useful resource was a reflection on quantum mechanics, an Islamic perspective which critiques strict materialism and argues that modern science must be interpreted via deeper metaphysical frameworks, particularly in light of the doctrine of Tawhid, unity of God. ResearchGate. Then one night, Sammy had a vivid dream. He saw a vast ocean of shimmering light, in which every drop was a star, a galaxy, an atom. He saw threads of resonance binding them, a cosmic web of vibration. At its center, an immense luminous presence, indescribable. He awakened in tears, heart pounding. He wrote down one phrase. Everything sings the one. He realized. The multiplicity of quanta, the dance of electrons, photons, vacuum fluctuations, all are individual notes in the divine symphony. When we measure, we localize one note. When we don't, the harmony persists in superposition. The one is the field, the harmony, the source, the observer beyond the observer. Sammy decided to share his discovery. He invited a small circle, his mentor from the physics department, Professor Hassan, his friend Fatima, who was studying theology, and a couple of graduate students. In a dim room lit by a projector, he showed his results. He unveiled the anomalous coherence signal, the repeatability under varying conditions, the relation to entanglement in background vacuum modes, and a proposed hypothesis. There exists a subtle informational substrate permeating all of creation beyond known fields, which carries coherence and links all quantum systems. He suggested that this substrate is metaphysically correlated with the divine oneness, Tawhid, that the Creator's knowledge and will is the subtle ordering principle. Professor Hassan's face was a mix of astonishment and skepticism. If this is real, he said, you are proposing something like a new field or hidden variable, but one with divine undertones. We need reproducibility, independent replication. Fatima wept quietly. She said, what you've glimpsed is what mystics have always described. Unity beneath multiplicity, the one behind the many. The students debated errors, alternative explanations, electromagnetic crosstalk, systematic bias. Over the next weeks, more tests were run. Collaborators in a different lab attempted to replicate the anomaly. Some saw hints, others saw noise. The scientific community was cautious. This was very near the fringe. But the possibility lingered. What if science and divine unity are not enemies, but partners? The turning point came when Sammy published a preprint of his results, carefully titled Signs of Subtle Coherence Beyond Standard Quantum Fluctuations toward an Informational Substrate Hypothesis. In the introduction, he referenced the Leong and Abu Salah paper and the convergence works Bridging Quantum Science and Islamic Metaphysics. His paper circulated in online preprint servers, and he presented it in a seminar to a diverse audience of physicists, philosophers, and interested Muslims. The response was electric. Some dismissed it as error or wishful thinking. Others called it bold and courageous. He received messages. "This is what I have prayed for all my life. You are building a bridge between science and faith." Some asked, "Does this mean quantum physics proves God?" Sammy responded in his heart, "Science never proves God in a philosophical sense, but can point, hint, open windows." He quoted the Quran. "We will show them our signs in the horizons and in themselves until it becomes clear to them that He is the truth." Quran 41:53. The phenomena he observed, if real, were among those signs. One evening, Sammy was invited to a public lecture in the Grand Hall of Istanbul University. The title, Quantum Whispers, When Physics Meets Tawhid. The auditorium was packed. On the stage, he narrated his journey, the internal struggle, the moment of the anomalous pattern, the dream, the experiments, the collaborators, and the metaphysical vision. As he addressed the audience, he said, "If each electron, each photon, each vacuum fluctuation carries information, correlation, coherence, unseen but present, then perhaps we glimpse the subtle traces of the one who knows and sustains all. The multiplicity of the cosmos is like verses recited. The one is the reciter, the meaning, the harmony behind them." The crowd was spellbound. At the end, a theologian rose. He said, "You are speaking of what Sufis called Tawhid wujudi, the unity of being, but you must be cautious. In Islam, God is not identified with creation. We must maintain transcendence. We may see signs, not identity." Sammy nodded, smiling. "Yes, the substrate is not creation, but the divine will that sustains and fosters coherence. We do not claim pantheism. We claim signs." After the lecture, people crowded to shake his hand, ask questions, record short videos. A student asked, "Can you show me the interference pattern again live?" He said, "Tonight in my lab, you are welcome." Word spread. Clips went viral on social media. Physicists sees traces of Allah in quantum fluctuations when electrons whisper God. The story spread beyond Muslim circles, into physics blogs, interfaith forums, science philosophy podcasts. Some called him the scientist mystic. Many shared the story on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. The tension between skepticism and wonder gave attraction. But toward the climax of his consciousness came a crisis. One night, he received an anonymous email. "Stop this. You are meddling with what you can't control." His heart froze. Was this a threat? Was he in danger? The next morning, he found that some of his lab data files had been erased by a mysterious glitch, backups corrupted. Fear gnawed at him. He wondered, was this sabotage, coincidence, or spiritual test? That day, he prayed deeply for guidance, reciting softly, "Allah guides whom He wills to paths of peace." He resolved to continue, more carefully, with transparency, inviting collaborators and open replication. He restored backups, locked systems, published raw data, and entrusted many copies with collaborators internationally. Weeks passed. No further threats, but tensions mounted. One prominent skeptic physicist publicly dismissed his hypothesis as pseudoscience. Others defended him. But one thing remained. His anomaly held under scrutiny and replication attempts. It was fragile, subtle, low signal, but persistent. Then came the turning moment. A respected quantum information theorist in Germany, Dr. Ingrid Weber, attempted replication, found a comparable residual coherence signal under extreme shielding and cryogenic isolation. Her team published a comment. "We confirm a small, unexplained coherence bump beyond standard predictions under very strict control. Further study needed." That endorsement gave Sammy's work legitimacy. The news circulated. On a quiet midnight, Sammy sat in the lab, gazing at the pattern on the screen. The faint modulation persisted. He whispered, "La ilaha illa Allah. There is no deity but Allah." Tears glistened in his eyes. He felt the fragile human state, the awe before the infinite. He whispered, "The symphony continues." He thought of all creation, stars, subatomic particles, souls, angels, vibrating in unison, each with its note, yet grounded in the one. He thought of the Quranic phrase, kun fayakun, be, and it is 36:82, that God's command brings existence. Perhaps these quantum fluctuations were but the smallest instance of divine, creative command, becoming, dissolving, weaving. As dawn's first light brushed the lab, Sammy stepped outside. He saw the city waking, minarets, rooftops, the Bosphorus shimmering. He felt love for all beings, aware that each heart is a subtle instrument in the cosmic orchestra. He vowed to continue, to refine, to open new labs, to engage scientists and seekers alike. In his heart, he knew, science may never capture the full depth of revelation, but revelation speaks when science listens humbly. The quantum world doesn't deny God. It hints at unity, interconnection, the subtle coherence that belongs to the one. And in every measurement, every choice, every whisper of an electron, we are touched by his presence. Dear friends, if this story moved your heart even a little, if you long to see more bridges between faith and science, then pause for 1 minute with me now. Take a deep breath, whisper La ilaha illallah, and just reflect. Then hit that subscribe or follow button. Share this video with someone seeking meaning, and together let's explore the signs in nature, the signs in science, and the signs in our souls. Let's journey to the unity behind multiplicity. Join me. For those who already place their trust in Allah, SWT, the intricacies of quantum physics may serve to reinforce the belief in his omnipotence and omnipresence. However, for others who may be skeptical, even a multitude of examples may not suffice. As the saying goes, for those who believe, no proof is necessary. For those who do not, no proof is possible. In every video, the names of scientists or individuals referenced are changed due to privacy reasons, ensuring that their identities remain undisclosed. If this exploration into the convergence of science and faith resonates with you, consider subscribing to our channel for more insightful content. Share this video with others who may find it enlightening, and join us in the journey of discovering the profound connections between the universe and the divine.